Now we're going to put some mortar on the board and get started laying block. Notice how I picked the shovel up like this right here. So you use the muscles under your arm. If you lift like this, it's a big suction and it's really hard on you. So if you go like this, you can lift twice as much. Okay. Back in the water. Now for everybody that's learning, you take a little bit of mortar and put it on your trawl about like so. And this is watch this right here, because this is the way I'm going to spread it on the block. The first inch or so of the trawl, you take and turn it up, and that's the way you're going to spread it. And this is the way you can practice. You can spend hours doing the same thing. And when you get it right, you'll be ready for your block. There we go. Now we'll start laying some block. Okay, now we'll lay a little mortar out here. Block. Okay, we'll lay our first block. Here we go. Now I've drawn a chalk line along here, so that way I can line it up. I know exactly where the expansion joint right here I'm starting. So I've got my chalk line there. I got to move it right in the line. Next thing I do, I'll take this little level, I'll put it on there and see what we got. A little bit high on this end, so I'll now we're going to put a little mortar on here for the half block on the lead. Okay. Here we go. Then take my trawl, about the first 3.5 inches or so of the trawl, and just cut your mortar off. Have anything on the foundation, floor, pick it up. You'll be using it. Running level here. It's pretty good there. A little bit this way. Right there. Plumb. This is called plumbing. You want to make sure it gets nice and straight. There we go. You plumb 2 corners. Just like that. That lead is ready to go. Now we're going to go down to this corner right here, this end, and we're going to put a little lead just like this right there. This wall is going to be 6 feet long. This wall is exactly the kind of wall that I learned how to lay block on when I was in school. So there you go. Okay, now that this is, we're going to take and lay this out. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to measure this with my measuring tape. Make sure it's right on 80 inches. It's right on. That's good. Get that little lead going. Okay. Here we go. Right on the line. Now, we'll check it with the level. Perfect. Check it this way. Perfect. We're good to go on that one. Now we'll put a little more mortar on the top for, get ready for that half. That guy right in place. Just like that. Notice when I take the mortar off of there, I do a little snap. That way it stays on the trawl. Back to the level. The lead always has to be perfect. If the lead's perfect, the rest of the wall will be perfect. So take your time, do a good job on your lead. Now it's level. Check the plumb. Perfect. And check this corner. Let's have a look to see what we got. Perfect. There you go. Now that the lead is in, we're going to stretch a line and lay these blocks in the center. I'm going to show you how to use that line and those blocks. Okay, here we go. What we're going to do is we're going to set the block here, so and the line. So what we do is we put the line in the block about like so, and probably bring it around twice, and then lock it up just like that. So the tighter you pull it, the stronger it is. And I'll lay it on the first course, just like so. And then we'll take the block and we'll go to the other end. Okay, now we're at the other end here. We'll just put that block on the same way, just like so. It's just enough tension. We'll wrap it around twice and come up inside there. And if one isn't enough, we'll wrap it twice. Right there. Now, what we want to do is the line to follow the top of this particular block. Okay, now we're going to spread some mortar and lay these blocks in. There. On a block, there's two sides. That's the bottom, that's the rough side. That's the side you don't want to pick up. That goes to the bottom. This right here has a little flange on it where you can pick it up just like this, like a grip, just like that. But when you're starting out, since this block weighs 36 pounds, you'll want to just take and set it up like this, and because you did your practice here, you'll be fine. Just put a block, just put a little bit of mortar just there like that, and a little bit of mortar here just like this. A little there. I always lay them like this. There. Last block going in, or a brick, is called an enclosure. So, plenty of mortar on it. There. Now get this over here. This is the one I like to put up on the corner of the mud board. A little bit of a tuck there. In she goes. You lay that right, this is perfect. You lay it right to the line, and the line does not lie. It's always perfectly straight. There. We'll set the line on this half block, and we'll lay this course in. There. Now, once we lay those in, be perfectly straight. This mortar is getting just a little bit stiff, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that can of water and I'm going to mix it up a little bit. Coffee can, a little water next to you, especially on a hot day. And work that water into the mortar. Work it around like this. And this end, just move this way. There. Now we'll start laying this side in. That little snap on the trowel. There. Let's put a little bit of mortar on the ends here. You can move a little faster if you have a little extra mortar on those webs. And voila. And now we're ready to fill it in. We'll lay some block. When you're first learning, just set your block down. You don't want to go wearing yourself out. Call the head joint, just like so. It's much easier to pick up a block this way. Pick them up like this, and you'll last all day. There's one. Now, we'll start cutting the mortar off of them. First 3 inches of your trowel, and once you pick the mortar off of it, snap. Right on the face. You don't have to worry about the back too much. See, when I was in school, you laid the block by picking it up on the web, and this is an awful strain on a guy. That's why that little Hawaiian guy just go like crazy when he'd do this, just like this. And he was a good mason. There we go. Following the line. Perfect enclosure. Now we'll get ready for the enclosure. And we'll put this guy right into place. Right there. On an enclosure, a lot of times you'll lose a head joint. So, we'll just go in there like this and put it right back. Just like that. Now, we're ready to start our lead all over again. Okay, now, this course right here is it's a 2-foot section. This course is the 3rd block. And every 3rd block is a steel block. And you it's called a bond beam, and this is what I'm going to put in right now, is a bond beam and lay the steel out. A little more mortar on this guy right here. Right there. And here. This is a bond beam course. What happened was when I came to the job and the material was delivered, they didn't deliver me but 6 bond beams, and I need 12 for this wall. So what we're going to do is I hammered out a couple right here. When I get to that end, I'm going to show you how to break it out with a hammer. There we go. Okay, check with a level, see what we got. Almost perfect. Right about there. And then we'll check this way. Perfect. Now I'm going to cut the mortar off and make sure this thing is plumb. This level is 100 years old and only has a bubble on one side, so that's fine. Yeah, 100 years old, I'll take my time with it. There it is. And we're going to check this side. Right here. See where we're at. That's it. Now we're going to go to the other end and set one of these bond beams. Break this out. I'm going to break it down about a ½ inch or so, just enough to where 2 pieces of ½ inch steel can lay in along here. Take your time, block's really soft, no big deal. There. Just go to about a ½ inch down. Okay, that one's ready to go in. Okay, now we'll lay that bond beam. Let's lay that guy in. Here we go. There. Line it up on this side. Now we'll check the level. There it is. And we'll check across this way. That's good. Cut the mortar out of the way. Now we'll check the plumb. And then we'll check the plumb this way. See what we got here. Oh, that's looking good. Very nice. Looking good. Okay, now we'll set our line on each end. Put that here. Line's getting a little bit loose, so I think what we'll do is we'll tighten it up. There it is. Just pull it in about a ½ inch. Right there. I want to make sure that the line is snug enough. Okay. There. Okay, now we'll spread the mortar. After a while, you'll be able to spread it just like me. Take your time at first. It'll come. Right there, a little bit of mortar on the joints there. Help the block stand up on its own. There. And 2. Okay, here we go. Bond beam course. This is the course that holds the steel. Right there is a little bit of a rock. That's a problem. It's making the block cocked. So I'm going to pull it out, put it on my knee, find the rock, take it out, and go right back. There we are. Perfect. Now, move a little quicker like me. You won't even take the time to set it down. You just spread the mortar. Let's go. Here we go. Perfect. 1. And we'll cut it off of this guy. 2. There we are. Going for the enclosure. We'll close it up. Get that last block in there. Get that joint nice and full. in she goes. The enclosure. For every enclosure, usually you have to add a little bit of mortar in that joint. Okay, when you're building a wall, it doesn't really matter whether it's 5, 6 feet or it's 20 feet. You always start with a bar of steel on one end. That's the first web. And then you go 1 bar of steel every other web. So every other block, like every block. And you always have one on the end. Okay, I've got 2 pieces of steel cut, and when we come back, I'll show you how we're going to place them in the wall. Okay, I've cut these 2 bars of steel, and we're going to put them in. And just cutting that block down a 1/2 inch to lay this steel in, it's going to work out great. Just like that. 2 1/2-inch bars side by side. And then we have our vertical bar of steel. Always starts at the end. And then you got a bar of steel every 16 inches by 2 feet square. Normally it comes out of the foundation, but we didn't want to do it here since this is a classroom and we didn't want to drill any holes in the floor. So I'm just basically showing you that the steel should be in the foundation and up 16 inches. But anyway, you drop your steel from every corner and then every block. And it would be just like this. Every other web would have its own bar of steel, which would make it every 16 by 2 feet square. And this one right here, and it just so happens it's right close to the end, so you leave this bar here and you always have another one at the very end. Always have a bar of steel at the end. So that's what it looks like. Excellent. Okay, now we'll put that last half block up there, and that'll be a bond beam. Bond beam and another set of steel. Okay. Verticals are every 16 inches. Okay. Back to the same thing. We'll see how our level is. And then we'll check it this way. And check the plumb. And then we'll check it here. Perfect. I like that. Well, we're done with this side. Now we'll move a few things around. We'll take a little break and move our mortar and everything over there. Now we're going to use these little brackets, and the reason for these is so you can work on a wall. And so let's just say that you had a corner here, you couldn't stretch a line block through here, so that's why they made these little brackets. And we'll set our line on it, and when we pull it, it'll kind of choke it to one side. So we'll put that right to the end, and that's the way we'll use it. Bring it around and just choke it. And that's what they're for. Now we'll lay these blocks in. Now that I have that wall in, we'll lay in our horizontal steel. Since the wall's finished, as high as we're going, and drop the vertical bars, starting right here at the end and on down. Now that the wall's finished, we're going to take this concave joiner and we're going to joint this wall up. We'll do all our verticals first, that's the up and down. Then we'll go across the